When the sun rose over Jerusalem that morning, no one knew what they would find. For weeks, the Assyrian army had surrounded the city. 185,000 soldiers, the largest military force the ancient world had ever seen. They had siege towers, battering rams, engineers who could tunnel through solid rock, and a reputation so terrifying that kings had killed themselves rather than face them. The people of Jerusalem had gone to sleep expecting to die, but when dawn broke, silence. No war drums, no shouting commanders, no battering rams slamming against the gates. Just silence. And when scouts finally worked up the courage to look over the walls, they saw bodies. Thousands of them. Tens of thousands. Row after row of Assyrian soldiers. Still in their armor, weapons still in their hands. Dead. 185,000 men. Gone. In a single night. No army had done this. No plague moves that fast. No poison works on that scale. Something else had walked through that camp in the darkness. This is the story of the night an angel went to war. To understand what happened outside Jerusalem, you first need to understand who the Assyrians were. They were the most terrifying military force in human history. And that's not exaggeration. That's not dramatic license. The Assyrians were so brutal, so systematic in their cruelty, that even by ancient standards that already included plenty of violence, they stood out as something different, something worse. They didn't just conquer, they advertised. When an Assyrian king took a city, he would impale the survivors on stakes outside the walls, sometimes while they were still alive, and leave them there as a message. He would flay the skin off rebel leaders and drape it over the city gates. He would cut off hands, feet, ears, noses, gouge out eyes, stack severed heads into pyramids. And here's the thing, they didn't hide this, they carved it into stone. Palace walls covered in detailed reliefs showing exactly what happened to cities that resisted. Foreign diplomats would visit Nineveh, walk through the palace, and see scene after scene of torture and execution, rendered in beautiful, intricate detail. That was the point. The Assyrians understood something about power. That fear is cheaper than fighting. Make the punishment for resistance horrific enough, public enough, and most cities would simply surrender. Open the gates, hand over the tribute, and pray they weren't made an example of anyway. One king, Sennacherib, left an inscription that reads, "I built a pillar at the city gate and flayed all the chiefs who had rebelled, and I covered the pillar with their skins." Another describes enemy soldiers like this. "I cut their throats like lambs. My war chariot wheels were bathed in blood and filth." The king of a neighbouring nation, when he heard the Assyrians were coming, stabbed himself in the chest rather than be taken alive. That's who was outside Jerusalem's walls, and the people of Jerusalem had already seen what Assyria could do. 20 years earlier, the northern kingdom of Israel, their brothers, their cousins, the other half of their nation, had tried to resist. It didn't go well. The Assyrians besieged Samaria for 3 years. When it finally fell, they deported 27,000 Israelites, scattered them across the empire, mixed them with other conquered peoples, until they lost their language, their identity, their God. They never came back. The 10 lost tribes of Israel. That's not a legend. That's not a myth. That's what happens when Assyria decides to erase you from history. So when Sennacherib marched south in 701 BC, the people of Jerusalem knew exactly what was coming. They had watched it happen to their own family. Sennacherib didn't come straight for Jerusalem. That wasn't his style. He wanted the people trapped inside those walls to know, really know, that there was no hope. So he took his time. 46 fortified cities fell, one by one, each one sending the same message to Jerusalem. You're next. The worst was Lachish, Judah's second largest city. Sennacherib was so proud of that siege that he carved the whole thing onto his palace walls. You can still see it today in the British Museum. Battering rams smashing through gates, soldiers scaling ladders, and afterward, the prisoners. Lines of them being led away in chains, others being impaled, flayed, executed in front of their families. That's what Sennacherib wanted Jerusalem to see. That's the fate waiting for them. By the time the Assyrian army surrounded Jerusalem, King Hezekiah had already tried everything. He stripped the gold from the temple doors, emptied the treasury, sent tribute, 30 talents of gold, 800 talents of silver. Everything he had. Sennacherib took it all and kept coming. If you want part 2, comment and subscribe.